Hey everyone, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez, coming at you today with the last seat number 14 with SWP, known as Saitama Wolfpack Price, over on Soul, with my co-hosts all dolled up from Sharby. Everyone say hello to Dashi. Hello, Dashi. And all right, we're here on a Monday, and it was Father's Day yesterday, so I hope the men in the audience and everyone's all relaxed. Tom, you got any kids?
Yep, 3 boys.
Nice.
Yep.
Good for you. Getting and any of them into Web3? I don't know how old they are.
I would say on and off. I had
Okay.
my youngest is interested, and my middle son has kind of gone in and got burned out. He actually experienced some pretty great success, but failed to take any profits and ended up losing it all.
Well,
And
we've all been there.
He did it twice, and I think he's still depressed over the 2021 episode.
Yeah.
And then it happened again in 2024 in a crazy way. So yeah, it was actually the second time. Well, the first time it was Saitama Inu in 2021, and he got into it because I did, and never took out a penny. And I think he's just looking back like in a daze, like, holy cow, I had like $200,000 from 200. So his $2,000 became 200,000. He had 100x, never took out a penny, and then it just went to basically nothing.
So this is where it all started. So tell us a little bit about Saitama Inu and some of the origins of this.
Okay. Yes. So our current community, the SWP community, is it originally was a coming back together story of people who were a part of Saitama Inu in 2021. And the original idea was, hey, let's do it again. And the idea was good because let's do it again. This was a meme token that went to $7.4 billion. So let's do it again is a pretty cool story in that case, right? And so people started coming back together. It was an unknown dev that launched a token on the Solana blockchain this time, as opposed to the Ethereum blockchain like the original one, and had a lot of similarities. And the original one was the one that came out in 2024 was kind of this comeback, was called the One Punch Man, Saitama One Punch Man. We all started calling it Saitama on Sol because of Solana blockchain. And, our theme was, this is going to be the comeback story of the century. What we didn't know back then, this was in May of 2024. What we didn't know was that, we knew that there was a lot of stuff that had happened with the original devs, and we weren't, in any way associated with the original devs, but it was just more the wolf pack. The wolf pack is the community. This is our story. We want to come back even without those guys. We didn't realize that in October of last year, they were actually going to be arrested. Like, several of them have been arrested. There's charges against them all the way up from the FBI and the Department of Justice. And they've got people basically in other countries. Some of the devs in other countries are going to be probably brought to the US. I mean, it was crazy because our original story was supposed to be, let's do it again. It was supposed to be a comeback story. And I was actually working on a documentary, and I had the pieces of an entire documentary. The idea was that I would take this documentary and try to get it on as big of a streaming channel as we could. So, I never promised it was going to be on Netflix, but that was kind of our aspirations, that it would be on, a documentary of, 2021, because 2021 was a pretty crazy story. I think if you talk about, from 0 to $7.4 billion market cap, it doesn't matter who you are. That's a pretty crazy story, whether you're interested in crypto or not. Those are big numbers, and that's real numbers. It's history, it's documented. What I didn't realize, I don't think anybody realized, is that even the pump was based on market manipulation. So it went from being a success story and let's succeed again to a crime story. And it was like, holy crap. People was like, I don't want any part of that. I don't want to have my name connected with anything like that. And I think even the diehard people who loved there was still some heavy duty diehards that loved the original, and they changed names like multiple times since it was Saitama Inu. It became Cytochain, Cytopro, STC. They changed the logo. It became like a utility token, and they actually, the one developer actually built a blockchain. So it did become, some of the original promises, but eventually they all got caught on, some of those original market manipulations and illegal things that are, we know there's certain things that devs and people do in crypto that would be 100% illegal in the real world, right? We know that. And these guys got caught. And so our whole storyline was, we already had, like, our community has been creating content for the last year, like real world content. I mean, we even got professional quality film crew. We did a long form interview. I did one-on-one interviews with a number of people about just telling their story. And that was our goal, is that this is about the wolf pack. And if you don't know this, like those who are viewing who don't know this, the idea is that the original community back in 2021 of Saitama Inu called themselves the Wolf Pack. And that's because the logo was a character from the One Punch Man anime series. And it was a character that I think was called the Dog Boy. And he has a dog on his head. And that's that's where it came from. And so it's just became, we were the Wolf Pack. And that was the name of the community that was really hyped and excited back 4 years ago. And so the Wolf Pack being this community, many of the, so we have mixed stories, and I felt like, everybody needs to tell their story, or should have the ability to tell their story, including myself. Like, I'm not gonna like go into details, but I had my bag was big, let's put it that way. And my, the ability, even at the peak, to have converted it to fiat would have been, off the charts. But part of my story was that I believed in the community. I believed in the Wolf Pack, and I didn't want to sell because I just believed, wrongly now in hindsight, that this is a revolution. This is the start of crypto taking over the world, and it's just going to keep going. I didn't understand cycles at the time. And so you had the people who got in late back then. So everyone, people are learning about timing. Like, they got in October and November at the peak. So there was never a chance on earth they would ever make anything, because they got in right at the peak. It was all downhill from there. You got people that got in early and saw their bag do that 100x, like I was saying, like my son. And then just still, we referred to a lot of the people in that community as drinking the Kool-Aid. We believed, and we believed that you just don't sell. This is so amazing. It's going to be a blockchain. It was deflationary. And there were reflections, meaning you actually make money for holding. So there's a lot of stuff that you don't see very much anymore with a lot of the Solana tokens. And so they actually made a huge profit, and they rode it all the way down the hill to nothing. And then as they're starting to see, a lot of stuff in hindsight, looking back, there was just a lot of shady stuff that took place. So a year ago, our current, iteration of it was a random, anonymous dev. And we actually did a relaunch to basically get rid of the trademark name. And so we called ourselves, Saitama Wolfpack instead of One Punch Man, because that's trademarked. And then we relaunched, and we added a tax. So our current token was actually launched and it was also, instead of an anonymous dev, I actually took over as the CEO and launched. And we honored the distribution that, everybody had bought the original token from a year ago. We basically matched their tokens and launched, and we added a tax, which was, the idea is that, hey, this is kind of like those tokens back then, that it gives us that ability to fund marketing and growth and doing different things, which of course we would have run out of tokens if we had not had any tax. And so it also helps us in a lot of ways too, to prevent something that happens a lot with tokens, especially on the Solana blockchain, is you get the bots that just trade, and it's like they're constantly trading and sucking the liquidity. And the fact that we have a 2% tax makes it basically they don't do that on our token. So we have a lower volume because it's actually organic. It's actually real volume that we have. And so our, what we're doing is that has funded we created cartoons. So we've created about 12, full animated cartoons, which is pretty awesome. And what we did was we told the story of our origin in cartoon format. And so and then we took it all the way through to today. So that was part of what we wanted to do, was to tell our story. And now that we've done that, we've covered that, hey, this is where we came from. Now it's like, okay, now it's time to talk about where we're going, because I was part of something that was, in the billions, but the real bull run, which is going to be bigger than last time, is just begun. This is like the real cool story is starting like today, where it's happening now. And, it's always been a case that our story has been about, it's about comebacks, but it's also about grit. It's also about tenacity. It's also about the wolf pack doesn't give up. We refuse to get up. I don't care if you had $15 million and you lost it all, and you have $10 and you're going to make a comeback, and you're like, I'm coming back and nobody's going to stop me. Not shady devs, not a market, not a bear market, none of it. Nothing's going to stop us because we have that determination. And the crazy thing about it is that a community that comes together with a little meme token and has determination can actually do that. Like, you can get 100x. I won't use the word easily, but you can do it with determination and with people coming back together. And so the comeback story, a lot of it is it's up here. And the interesting thing about what our community has done is that in the past year, we've had people coming and going. And a lot of the people that have left the community, it's simply because, there's a couple of reasons why I think they've left. Is that it didn't happen as soon as they had what they were hoping would happen didn't happen as soon as they wanted to. There were people who, gave us the impression that they believed in the community, who sold all their tokens and went somewhere else, which clearly they didn't believe in the community, right? They wouldn't have sold their tokens and left. And there's just been a lot of stuff that has happened. I think we've learned a little bit, about who has the grit and who doesn't. But at the end of the day, to be 100% honest, it wasn't time yet anyway. I don't know of that many tokens out there in the past year that have really gone ballistic, right? It is like the timing, the bull run, I believe is, in the next 6 months, in the next year, it is ahead of us. And so the past year for us is like, this was for us to learn. This was us to get our strategies together. And we've done that, where we've got our game plan now. It's a little bit different. We ended up changing our name. We kept the SWP. That was what we switched over to, which originally meant Saitama Wolfpack. We just recently changed it to Solana Wolfpack. Again, Solana is a more general name. It doesn't have the negative connotations that the other word, the S word, has. And it's not connected to crime and shady devs and things that we don't want to be people to think about. Solana is a blockchain, and there's millions of people that know about Solana. We'll be Googling Solana. So our strategy, is it okay for me just to keep going? I've got to tell you about my strategy.
Yeah, by all means.
Our current strategy is it's somewhat the same as it was a year ago. Because our idea a year ago was, hey, we're going to do a documentary about this token in 2021, and we're going to be hopefully getting this documentary on streaming, and we're going to get millions of eyeballs. And just think about it. Just think about that idea. If you pulled on Netflix and it was the XYZ token, and there's a documentary about the XYZ token going to 7 billion, dropping, and then making a comeback, and the story of the people behind it who are determined to make it a comeback. Like, just that, what do you think would happen to XYZ token probably the next day or the next day after? I mean, it's just like, but when's the last time you saw even a mention of crypto on TV or, on Netflix or whatever, right? They don't talk about it. Whenever they do, they're usually like wrong. They're not even accurate. And if they are, it's criminals, it's bad guys. It's like they're very rare, or they just say it in a very simplistic way, like, Bitcoin or something. But I've never seen an actual documentary about a meme project. I can't say never. I think I've seen one about XRP. I think there might be something out there about Doge. I mean, there's a couple of things, but it's not something that happens very often. And I think that's the original aspiration. And so when we started creating, some of our challenges with the going back in time and creating a historical document was a lot of those original players, they didn't want to be filmed. And a lot of the original content from the YouTubes that was like, hey, let's tell the story, Poliz, all the video content was really not ours. It was other people's copyright from their YouTubes and their channels. And a lot of people were like, they wanted to step back from this word. So it was hard to go back historically. That's why we made it a cartoon. We made it into an animated cartoon, and we jabbed them pretty hard. Let me just say it that way. We picked on them pretty hard. We were trying to make it funny, which I think it was, and told the story of 2021 on through. And then we did a couple of general video cartoons in between where we were we were kind of joking about Elon Musk and Donald Trump. We did one with BitBoy Crypto. We kind of made fun of him. We did one with Ansem where we were trying to get Ansem to respond to us. So we did cartoons with, some different storylines. We have always had in our branding the Wolf Boy, which again was just taking that character from the original logo 4 years ago and creating it into a superhero that represents us as part of our brand. And so if you go back to, all of our stuff, we've always had the Wolf Boy representing us. He's changed his colors a little bit and looks a little different, the style of him. But everybody recognizes the Wolf Boy and us are, we've weaved him in. A lot of our stories with Wolf Boy is that he's saving the day and he's helping people not to get scammed. So move forward to now. Our shift in our thinking was we wanted to have a viral video, and trying to make funny viral cartoons was the original strategy. I think the highest we ever got was we had one of our cartoons hit about 500,000 views, which I think is pretty wild. Yeah. I mean, it's like, I think we got shadow banned at one point. So the next one that came out, which I thought was even funnier, it's got like a few hundred. I'm like, dude, we had 500,000 views and now we got a few hundred. Yeah. Tell me Twitter that we're not shadow banned, right? They won't tell you. They don't say, hey, by the way, we're throttling the algorithm. And there's some reasons for it. I think one of the things is actually teaching people how to buy a token is actually not approved on some of the social media platforms. Like talking about here's how you buy apparently is you're selling a crypto, and it's not kosher with some of the social medias. So our shift from being funny was to actually go a route that I think is a strategy that will really benefit us in the long run. And some other influencers have actually been copying our strategy, is to really go after the normies with 101 videos to teach the person who knows zero about crypto, to go and teach them to do real education. So if you go back on our X account now, you'll see some really good basic videos like what's a gas fee? What is a blockchain? What's the Solana blockchain? What's the difference between a token and a coin? What's an NFT? Like how does the basics? Because even if right this minute, there's not millions of people Googling those things, if you look at some of the 101 videos on YouTube that, from 3 years ago that do some basic, here's how crypto works and what it is, some of those videos have 3 million views. And so the idea is if we can become the educators, both in long form and short form, down from the 30-second, here's how this works, to like on Saturday, I actually streamed a seminar with real people for 3 hours straight, which is crazy if you can't tell. Like I talked for 3 hours straight about crypto 101. Like the audience were actual. It was really good that it was people. They weren't acting. They knew nothing. And the idea is that, hey, I would probably say that really, truly, the number of the population of the world that actually understands crypto and owns crypto is probably like 3%. I've heard bigger numbers like 7%. I don't think 7% of the population knows much about crypto. They may have it on their Robinhood app. It doesn't mean they understand much. It just means that they bought something that is a crypto. So I would probably venture to say it's more like the market for the normies that need to learn is probably 97% of the world's population. And if we can be the one to go in and say, listen, I'm going to teach you, here's the basics, here's the safety, here's what you got to watch out for, here's how you need to think in terms of, all of the basics. And you've got people Googling it. What's going to happen, I believe, when the market takes off and we really hit the bull run, the searches for those basic things is going to really go through the roof. And that's going to be where if they connect into a channel. So I created a channel called Naked Crypto. And obviously, if you know the Naked Chef was a very popular cookbook series and TV show with Jamie Oliver. He called it the Naked Chef, and obviously he wasn't actually naked. It was basically just an expression for him just showing how to cook.
Was that the first clickbait? Because if I see a show that says the Naked Chef, I'm clicking on it, and then when I see he's not naked, it's like, oh, they got me.
Yeah,
like, I feel like that might have been.
Yeah, maybe, and it was popular. It was a popular brand, and that brand was off the charts. I mean, he became very, very famous, and he was just teaching the basics of cooking. And so that's where I'm thinking that's what we're doing. We're just teaching the basics. That's why I'm copycatting his idea of was Naked Crypto. And there's probably other people out there, but running that concept, that name, and teaching people Crypto 101. And so our channel is focusing a lot on it. Even some of our cartoons have focused a lot on it. I'm doing in-person seminars. That was my second in-person seminar, but the difference with this one is I streamed the whole thing. So it's on our socials, streamed it for 3 hours straight without a break. And we recorded it. I had a videographer and he recorded it. We even had, so the people asking questions, their questions are on tape. So we got some high res, good quality video. And that's going to give us the ability to post the whole thing and to break it out into, like, it'll be a gold mine for, shorts and reels and stuff like that. So we can kind of pull that content. I've even done ones where I'm interviewing ChatGPT. So I've got basically the ChatGPT and I'm asking it questions and recording it. And right there, you've got a perfect answer to any question you have, which obviously, like, anybody can do that, right? Anybody can do that. But I have never seen anybody actually interviewing ChatGPT and just asking it basic questions about crypto and creating content. So we're creating lots of content. We still have I'll cover just a little bit, like some of the main differences with our community over a lot of communities. Number one, starting back in, I think September of last year, we hired a full-time administrative assistant named April. She's in the Philippines. She works for the project. And she's essentially been paid because we created a tax. So we were able to sell the tax, pay her salary. I don't know how many meme tokens, like small meme tokens, have a full-time employee running as an administrative. Obviously, you have core groups and they're all, burning the midnight oil for free just as a part of what they're doing. But we have an actual person. Then we hired on a full-time animator to make these cartoons on salary. So now we have 2 full-time staff members in the Philippines that are working for the community, creating content. On June, was it 10th? Yeah. So last Tuesday, they were at the big expo in the Philippines, both of them, both Kai and April. So we had representation at a huge expo in the Philippines with 10,000 people, 100 different vendors. Our friends at OnChain were there. And so that's where I even found out that it was happening. And I'm like, well, we've got our people in the Philippines. Can they get to Manila and represent? So they were there with their SWP t-shirts. They were passing out flyers. They were collecting information. They were representing like a big company, essentially. And super exciting because and of course, capturing content, because that's really our utility, our value proposition. All of this is essentially we're content creators. We are that's our advertising. And many of the things that we're doing a little bit differently than I think the average, especially what I see with the average Solana project. The average Solana project, they're all like, hey, let's get on all the exchanges. What we've discovered about on-chain, what's happening with them, essentially makes centralized exchanges almost irrelevant. Like literally to spend time and money and tokens and all this to desperately get on an exchange. When you understand what on-chain is going to do, you don't need an exchange at all. You need a link, you click on it, people can buy it right on the blockchain through their system. So we have this 2% tax. We made the decision a while back to start burning the tax. Now, this is financially a little bit more of a challenge because that's basically what we were paying for everything with. But the idea is that this is exciting because now when there's any buys and sells, it's made us truly deflationary. We've already burned like 1.2 million tokens out of 100 million. So our supply is already a lot smaller than, say, for example, a pump fund token, which has 1 billion tokens. We started at 100 million and we're starting to burn our tax. And that's so part of that idea is what made people really excited about some of those tokens back in 2021 was the concept of, wait a minute, the supply is decreasing and the interest is increasing. Basic economics, that only goes in one direction. If people are starting to come and are interested in this, but the supply is literally decreasing and burned, permanently gone, it can accelerate into a supply squeeze. And so that's our goal, is to just, get eyeballs over here and burn over here. And just at some point we hit that tipping point where it goes ballistic. Obviously, when anything goes ballistic, it advertises itself, right? So that's where we're pushing for. And so we're creating content, getting eyeballs, doing the burn, and of course, looking to do some more exciting things. Even working together with yourself is like, hey, this is so stinking cool that we can get eyeballs on our even like a comic. Like just telling more stories, which, is not telling the stories of a crypto project in 2021, but just telling the story of the Wolf Boy and adding him into a storyline is so cool because, you'll get, but the other part of it is the idea that, hey, what if creating comics could help to offset the fact that we're burning our tax. And so we don't have the funding to pay. Like, what if we could do some of these things that, opening our minds to finding solutions to something that otherwise actually, I think admittably, if anyone running a project out there has to admit, like, this is not easy. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. Everybody would have super successful projects. So next week, I've told our community about it. I am actually meeting with a probate attorney. There's 2 people that somebody passed away and they had crypto. So I will be, hopefully it's not signed up, but that's what the meeting's about. I would be acting as a crypto consultant to help them harvest assets that the person who passed away had and bring it back to the family, because nobody knows anything. They don't know how to log into Coinbase, and they don't know about if it's on the blockchain. They know nothing. And the cool part about that concept as well is, besides running seminars and teaching people, you could actually have a consulting company. And besides content creation, we could actually do that. And so I will be, hopefully engaged as soon as next week to work with these families. I've already done this exact same thing, just that I've done it completely for free. I helped someone who passed away. His widow knew nothing. And I went in and got access to all of his stuff and helped her to harvest and off ramp, everything he had, so that, she could bring it. She doesn't want to trade crypto. She just wanted to know, what did he have? And I think this is something that's more common than we realize. But how many crypto consultants do you know out there that are helping, one, yeah, that like I had never heard about it, and I never thought about it as being a potential stream of income. So again, we're looking for streams of income to offset, to be able to continue to create content, to be able to continue to burn and keep building on something, which is why I really feel, and then with this on-ramping, this very easy on-ramping, on-chain launched their 3 other blockchains with probably 10 different projects last week. They're in that. It's a public beta. You can go and check that out. So now they're in the phase. They'll fix anything if they need to tweak anything. They'll be launching soon the alpha testing for the Solana blockchain. We are on the list. So the idea is that, hey, by the time the bull run is fully going ballistic, we hopefully have a simple link, which is going to make on-ramping 1,000 times easier. I remember one of the biggest things was a challenge back in 2021 is when everybody starts hearing about things are going crazy. I heard that, so-and-so made so much money in crypto. Hey, can you help me? And it's like the token they want is not on Coinbase. So it's not like just sign up and buy it, right? So it's like, how do I get money there? It's like, okay, so they're trying to on-ramp money, send it to the blockchain, and then swap it. There's about 7 steps. And I knew that if I was going to help somebody, first of all, it would take like an hour of my time. And second of all, for them to send money, it's like if anything goes wrong, like they do anything wrong in anything, whether it be in the swap or sending their money or connecting something, they're looking at you like, it's like, oh, I just lost my $1,000 that I was trying to send to swap into this crypto thing. So it's just frustrating to be like, I don't want responsibility if something goes wrong here, and I don't have an hour to help every single person that wants to learn how to do this. Knowing that was 4 years ago. 4 years later, they have this thing I seriously believe is going to change the world. I believe on-chain is going to change the world. It doesn't mean they're going to be the only ones. No question, there's going to be others going to copy what they're doing to the best of their ability as quickly as they can. But I think that once people taste speed and simplicity, they never go back. People never go back. When you've tasted that, hey, I'm going to watch a video and I'm going to click a button and I can watch the video, and you're doing that, and then someone says, no, I like to go and get the VHS tapes and I have to go rent them down on the corner. Like, you're crazy. As soon as you got a flavor for speed, nobody wants to go back to slow. And I think that that's going to happen. But this tool that's coming out will be perfectly aligned with the bull run. And in fact, could potentially help accentuate the bull run, because onboarding was still difficult 4 years ago and the bull run still happened. Now, to have it so much easier for money to be on-ramped is going to be the powerful thing about like what's about to happen. There's literally going to be trillions of dollars from other forms moving into the blockchains. And we know it. It's like everybody knows it. We just don't know when. We don't know how much. We don't know which token. Of course, there's a lot of questions. But as far as the fact that there's going to be a bull run, I think that pretty much everybody can agree on that. So we're working to be ready, because we know when it happens, it goes fast. And our goal is to be ready. But like I say, I don't feel bad about the past year, honestly, because I feel like we've learned, we've made some mistakes. We're making our foundation strong. Absolutely. And that's why it's like, I think at this point, we're basically like our planning, our changes, our shifting, our pivoting, all this, we're done. We're ready. Like, we're just going to keep building that content, keep working. For example, we're putting a lot of stuff on other social medias than X. Everybody else, they have no tax, they have no staff, they have no burn, no deflation. They're not doing the 101 basics to help the normies. And they're all talking about things that were common 4 years ago. It's like, yeah, that's a great idea. That worked 4 years ago, and it might work to a certain extent this time. But I seriously believe that a lot of things have changed in the last 4 years. And I think that we're going to be, in a better position to really ride this wave because we have a very, very specific strategy that I think will, like, for example, our burn is kind of slow because our volume is slow, is that when that volume gets hard and we have some serious volume and people start seeing like serious burns, every single Friday we're doing burns. When they see that, the level of excitement of, wow, I mean, it won't take that long before we eat up a really good chunk of the supply. And then you have projects that don't have that. I feel like we're going to have they don't even have a tax, right? You can't go back later on very easily and add that. It's not easy, especially not with, the way most of the contracts are written. So I'm super excited. I have an idea of the pieces that are in place, and I can see that as they come together. And then, of course, our goal with making a viral video or several viral videos is still there. We don't know which one it will be, but I do know from everything I've ever heard about, making a viral video is that the golden rule for making a viral video is make lots of videos. You don't know which one is going to be viral. You just know that everyone who's done it is like, oh yeah, I was making videos every day for 2 years, and all of a sudden this one went viral. And guess what? Good Morning America called and want me to be on their show to interview about that viral video. That happens. And so it's like, okay, when that happens, it's truly like the breaking point or the turning point where we would get that kind of visibility that I think we will get in one way or another. We just don't know how. We just don't know where that breakthrough will happen. But I seriously believe it will happen because we're not going to give up. And I think that's where we're different than a lot of people.
There's a TikTok channel called Nostalgic Cats. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
No.
It's they explain these, like, there's a clip of one video is they're explaining ADHD with cats.
He explained with cats. Kitty brain goes zoom. Kitty want to do 10 things at once.
So they go through a bunch of these things with heartbreak, social anxiety, bipolar disorder, and they have like millions of views on them. And I think that you have a really great advantage because you're a wolf pack, and are as many people searching for wolves as they are cats? No, but I think there's a bunch of people, like, you can get all the furries if you wanted to. You just like have someone in a wolf costume, and I mean, their money spends, right? I think that's one of the ways, especially now with social media, you don't have to just go viral on TikTok. You can go viral on X, you can go viral on Instagram, you can go viral on many different places and accentuate that. One of the questions I had is that so going back to the beginning, you're talking about a lot of people having like OGs, they really believe they have this. You as somebody that kind of held Round Trip, and I think somebody mentioned that up here as well, Round Trip Gang. There's a quote in one of the Marvel movies where they're talking about, invasion of Earth, and Loki says, I have some experience in that area. And the guy says, like, if you consider losing experience, and he says, well, I consider experience. So now that you've had that round trip and you were a part of this project, like from the beginning, what are some things that as a new person would have to look out for? Like, what's something shady that maybe you didn't see last time, but now you could spot clear as day from devs, whether they're not doxed, or just your general opinion?
I think that, understanding that as crazy as the market will be when we hit the peak, and just thinking back and think about 2021. 2021 had two peaks. You had a surge in May and you had a surge in November. You could have made really good money in May. and just walked away and be done. Sell it all, go, just be done. You could have made some really good money. If you had bought Shiba Inu in April, you could have been retired in May. I mean, just knowing like the numbers, like there was some good math here. And some people kept it and wrote it down to the bottom again throughout, and then it surged again. The whole point of it being is understanding that there has to be a plan at some way, somehow, to take profits, and understanding what that means. And it doesn't mean that you're going to hurt a project that you're a part of, but understanding there has to be a game plan. Now, there's people that it seems like you get like these two total poles where you get people like, if we go from 100,000 to 1 million and they're like, oh, great. And they're like pulling out and taking profits. It's like, that's a little early. Like we're not in the bull run, and you're like, you're thrilled to take profits with a tiny little bump. And then there's the ones, those people, you know, they may do well if they keep going and getting back in. But I think everybody knows that truly timing the market is very, very difficult. That a much stronger proven strategy is to find something you believe in, forget about it, hide your keys, don't touch it. And then when you fully realize that it's really, really, time, then it's easier to, if you're at 100x, there's plenty of room to take some profits, right? But I think that understanding the process of actually taking like for example, myself, I did take profits in Saitama Inu, and what I did with it I'm not proud of. I literally thought that, okay, if that happened here, I could go over here, and I ended up buying the stupidest stuff that you could possibly imagine, and throwing it, because I had this. It was a little bit like somebody who just won the lottery, and you have this mindset that, oh, it's easy, and then just taking this. And like the amount of research. Oh, Joe said he looked into that one and it's good. Oh, great. Like, let's just go with it. And like, well, what did Joe actually research? And what is it? It turned out that essentially everything that I went into after Saitama Inu it went to zero. Essentially everything. And so learning to still do your research, even if you've made profits and you're moving from one project to another, still do your research. Don't trust that random person who just says, oh, I looked into it. Like, actually do your own research so that you know that you're comfortable. And I think, the goal is to change the real world, your fiat world, and, your real, like, whatever, to not just go from one crypto to another. And then when this bull run is over, even if this bull run is 10 times bigger than the last bull run, it'll still come to an end at some point. And there will still be a time when you look up and it's like, so I think it's just having an awareness that there are cycles, and just to have now, like, because I did not understand it at the time, that I'll be more alert that, okay, I think we're at the peak, because I did really good at not selling a penny before the peak last time. But just knowing that, to time the peak and to have a sense that, at that point where it's truly at the peak, to make sure that you take profits and don't throw it into some other stupid project. Actually bring it home to your family. Actually do what you were intending to do, which is to truly change your life. Because honestly, I mean, in hindsight, even having, if somebody had pulled it out to US dollars, or even looking back, if you had swapped your meme token for Bitcoin, you'd be double up, even if you did that at the peak. You would have had some weird times in 2022 when it was down to $15,000, $16,000. You would have felt like, oh no, what did I do? But that's still different than some of the meme tokens that went down to a penny on the dollar. There's just a big difference. And I think just having all of that perspective of having been in the craziness, I feel like I'm more prepared. But I'm also, my mindset is different than a lot of people, because I tend to go all in on things, and I don't tend to think like, let's stay very, very diversified. And I know that everybody has their own strategies. Everybody has different amounts of money. And it's like, I can't, I can't tell other people what to do. People earn different amounts of money in their real jobs. But I think that, having kind of taken the steering wheel on this project, my goal is to make sure that if at the very least that, community members that are with us, if they go to bed tonight, that they can sleep good, knowing that it's not going to be a rug pull, not on my part anyway, right? It's not going to be, I'm fully doxxed. People know where I am, who I am, where I live. They know everything about me if they want to, because I've been a real estate agent for 20 years. So my number, my face, my name, everything is pretty well known. It's like, you can sleep at night knowing that this isn't going to be like that undoxed project that just was launched, and then you go to sleep and you wake up and it's everybody's dumped. I feel like the ones that are still, strong, holding strong with the Wolfpack right now too, is that if they haven't sold by now, if they didn't sell, a few weeks ago when we had some large whales exit, and of course it looks really bad on the chart, I feel like that, that's some strong people. They either are really, really upside down on their investment, or they have some strong conviction. I'd like to think that they have strong conviction. They believe in what we are going to do, whether they believe it's going to be a 10x or 100x. That's, everyone's making that choice. But I believe I'm happy to see that if they didn't sell with that, in the last year, and they're still holding, they're like me, and they're like, this is. I'm not in this for, a couple $100, or even literally, I'm not in it for a couple 100,000. Like this is gonna go big, or what the heck am I doing? Like, what am I messing with? This is going to go big. And I see, the players that have run off and done other things, wish them all the best. But I think the ones that are sticking with us are going to be the ones that are going to be happy that we did. And again, it's my mission. Like I wake up in the morning that my mission is to make the people that left regret it. Because, the point is, we didn't get into this. The people that got into this didn't get into this to fail. We got into this because we want to make it into something. And that's part of the, wolf pack. The wolves, we stick together, and the true wolves, we show up every day, and we're still working hard.
There was a tweet yesterday, I think, from Ben Zhao, who's the CEO of VeVe, and he had gone and said that they were going to a dual, I forget what it's called, like a dual model between a SEX and a DEX. It was a hybrid model, and basically you're going to have the liquidity of a SEX mixed in with everything. So they just did that with Base as well. So obviously they're doing that with Solana. Coinbase just announced that any coin that's on Base is going to essentially be able to be bought with Coinbase, and I think they're going to do the same thing with Solana. So I think a lot of you guys, at least on Bybit, will have some eyes on you. Also going to have some eyes on you later this year when you get some of that that sweet VeVe attention, where if you go in and so how about that? You've had some already cartoons out there, and you have this animator. Did you forward that script to him yet and see what he can do?
So I talked to him this morning, and they're usually off on the weekends, so I'm going to be talking to him more today. But he's capable of doing all the the drawings as well. So we have somebody that works with us that so we should be able to create a lot of even the still content, just like we've been doing the animated content.
That's awesome. You have both you and Sharby that'll be on those hybrid exchanges. Both you and Sharby that'll be in the daCAT universe. I can't wait for that. That'll be exciting. And when you get some of the more revenues, because you originally said you had the tax that was paying for the full-time employee in the Philippines, but now when you get some of that comic revenue, where are you going to allocate that? Is that going to be allocated towards any type of more marketing, more employees, or reinvest in more comics?
There you go. Yeah, I would say all of the above. I think we've learned. We do still have a partner that is a KOL that we've worked with that we still absolutely love. And, she's still a holder, and she's still, faithful to the team. But, we were paying her, some fiat just as part of doing the work of, she's still in nursing school and, you know, needs some of that, you know, cash. So we've got partnerships that we, you know, we would love to be able to keep. As far as like really expensive KOLs, we're basically done with it. Like, you know, this is a community project just because honestly, they've hurt us in the past. And it's not been worth it. They haven't moved the needle. So, you know, as far as like the general, you know, what we're creating, we don't need a massive amount of money to keep what we've built up, because everything is kind of you know, decent on a budget. You know, that's the beauty of it. But absolutely, that's going to help offset just the basic expenses of having people working full time in a way that we, you know, and I think that, you know, comic revenue, that's going to be awesome. You know, whatever revenue we can have, because we haven't promised that every bit of the 2% tax will absolutely be burned if we had to take some and sell it at some market cap. But if we can cover through other means, we absolutely will. We'll keep burning that 2%, because I think that, you know, 1.2 million out of 100 million is like, oh, it's not super exciting. Just wait. When it starts really burning, I think people are going to be like, oh, wow, they have a burn and we don't. And it's going to be like that. I think the people who understand basic economics, and when they understand what deflationary actually means, we have never in history ever seen any kind of currency be truly deflationary over a longer period. The ones that tried it and started it back in 2021, most of them just went under during the bear. They ended. They never got to. They got some hype. That's why they boomed in the beginning, because people thought that was cool. But they never got to truly see like the power of the deflationary element. I'm excited to see, like, we might be able to see, like, actually see the true, like, you know, at some point we'll actually fractionalize. At some point we'll actually be like truly seeing a bite into this, you know, market, circulating supply. And that's like, okay, well, nobody fully experienced it because most of them were actually scams, right? That's how they ended. But if we stick with it and show this is what a deflationary token looks like, the excitement, I think, just intellectually, like even a child can understand, oh, the supply is decreasing. Just even if the demand stayed the same, the value should be going up. And just to see how that actually plays out. But that's our goal, to keep burning the 2% as it comes in, and then pay the bills through other means.
I do have one more question. I know you got to go, but Sharby, you have anything before I?
Oh no, just thanks for sharing, Tom. And I think on like the crypto 101 or like the Q&As, just like you said about your son in the beginning, I think it's just as important to really talk about the psychology of crypto, because we want to retain people like your son. But what can we put in their toolbox that they can scale out? Even if you're in a project you have conviction in, you know, you can take profit responsibly and scale out and not hurt the chart and hurt your community. So I think those are such important things to talk about. Also, the transfer of wealth. Like, what are you going to do if you get that 100x? And what does that new person do so that they don't, you know, make mistakes? So I think all that education is it's so important. So keep getting it out there. And I like to see stuff on the psychology of crypto, because it can be taxing, right? We're our own banks. It's weird, but yeah, thank you for sharing the project and giving all that history. I didn't know. Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I was glad to see the message, and I love talking about it. I love my community. I love the subject just in itself. Like, the subject is just gets me excited, and you know, and I feel like, you know, sharing it with people who don't currently have anything. I feel like I would feel bad if I didn't share with somebody, and then this coming bull run, it comes and it goes, and I'm going to go on the assumption that I'm going to make a lot of money. I'll be fine, right? I'll make money again, just like I did last time. But I never told this person about it. They don't have any idea. And it's just something they hear about and they miss out. Like, I really, really want people to understand, because there really will be it is really a separation, right? You're going to have the ones that have it and the ones that don't. And I think in the early stages of this transition, the ones that have crypto and the ones that don't, it's going to be a separation. And the ones that they're going to get into, using the blockchain and all this at some point. But if they're later in the game, it won't mean as much to them. And the early ones will be the ones that really benefit. Well, all they have to do is just take some time and try to get to understand it. And of course, if they have some funds, discretionary funds, choose what they're going to get into, right? And decide, hey, I'm going to get into this. I'm going to do something. And, if they can, we hope that it becomes a worthwhile. And even people that do lose, I think it's just a matter of, hey, what can I learn from that? What was the red flag that I missed? Why did I get into a project and it turned out it was a honeypot? Like, I needed to check the contract. I didn't know that. Let me do that next time. If I ever do anything again, I'm going to learn to check the contract for, risks, things that you don't know the first time,
Speaking of the contract, when you take a look at SWP and you take a look at the liquidity pool, there's actually more SOL than there is Wolfpack tokens, which is really good. Usually you see it the other way, where there's a lot more of the tokens than there is, and the liquidity is just lower. It says it's locked. How long is it locked for? It's 55K in liquidity. Is that locked for like a year? Is it like daCAT?
It's been burned. Yeah, the liquidity's been burned. Yeah. So you can see that it's burned if you go on. I mean, some of them it's
wait, so like it's, when you say it's burned, like it's locked forever, like no one can touch it. Okay, sweet.
No one can touch the liquidity. Yeah. So there's no way for us to do a migration or something. Not an easy way at any rate. So so basically, yes, it's been burned, and I've seen it took a while for some of the sites. So you would start to see it on some of them, on some of the DEX tools. It showed 100%, like 100% burned, and it showed the little flame. And other ones like made it look like it was completely unlocked. And so over time, I think more and more are showing. But I have the transaction hash of when it was burned. The liquidity, we have no access to liquidity.
Awesome. Cool beans. Yeah. Oh, we'll end it here. We'll walk off, talk off camera for a minute. Everyone say bye-bye to Dashi. Thank you for coming. This was great. Shout out to all of the Wolfpack people here, everyone going in and commenting and supporting. This is what I really like. All right. Bye, everyone. We'll talk to you later. Bye.